Welcome everyone.
Thank you.
This is good. I have some things that I wanted to do today, which means we get to do them. Would you be able to get a jug of water and maybe the little red table? It's over there, I think. Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Just waiting for Rachel to do something. In the meantime, I was hoping to. Did you not find the jug of water? There's no jug.
What do you need?
Just need a jug of water, a large jug of water,
Like a 2 liter?
just to do water bowls and the red table.
Like a pitcher.
Yeah, pitcher of water. And the red table if it's in the little room. Do you have a daily practice in the morning? Do you have a morning daily practice?
Yeah, morning evening.
Morning and evening. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Does it include altar, prostrations, water bowls, or yes or no?
Yes and no.
Okay, great. Diamond shape.
I think it's a square for her.
Let's move the computer away from the water. Okay.
We're doing
Demonstration.
daily practices?
Uh-huh.
Cool.
And scarf. Every altar needs a scarf. What I want to talk about today, well, thank you everyone, welcome. Yeah, since we're all not 101, let's do 102, yeah, and actually do a mandala offering. Who doesn't know the mandala offering? Words off the top of their head. Who does not? 1, 2, 3. Maybe that's what we do. So I'll do it. You guys, do you know?
I can do it like when we're all doing it.
Can you do it on your own?
Mostly.
Okay, you start.
I can't do the refuge.
Okay. You start me off with sashi and I'll take you.
Yeah?
Yeah, and then the next one is sangye.
Okay. Sashi.
Hukir jishin metotram Riral limchin yunde padi Sange shindu mite viwari Drokun namda shinla chupasho Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Ninyatayami
Sange.
Shinam Zogi Shognam Janju Vardu Dakni Gapsuchi Daki Junyangi Petonam Ki Drola Benjir Sange Drupasho
Sange.
Chudam Zoki Jognam Nanju Vardu Dakni Gapsuchi Daki Junyangi Petanam Ki Drola Benjir Sange Drupasho
Sange.
Chudam Zoki Jognam Jamchu Vardu Dakni Gapsuchi Daki Junyangi Petanam Ki Trolavenjir Sange Drupal. And if you didn't get to do it through the prayer because you were too much thinking about the sounds, you should do it just before you come out of the refuge prayer. You should think of the emptinesses of your mind, the fact that emptiness is emptiness. And then, and then the Sangha, the beings who have had a direct experience of that. That should go through your mind at whatever level you've got it, right? And that's so important because without that motivation, we're just doing other things, just more stuff. This colors the stuff. So you begin to build an inner pattern, then stuff isn't just normal stuff. Yeah? So that should make it vital and important. Same with the offering, same with the mandala. And sometimes I forget, sometimes I get stuck on, I'm not on time, someone's going fast, like I'm doing that commentary. And my mind should really be firm on emptiness, taking refuge. So I want to talk about that today. So the last couple of Buddhism 101s, we talked about lots of ideas like we talk about them at ACI. It's very heady and very thoughtful, full of thought and consideration and the rest. I wanted to transcend thought into wisdom. So how do you get thought initially and then take it into a wisdom, into a knowing, into something that serves you without having to engage your mind on a cognitive level. So if you're interested in that, I'll do the same class. If you're not, we can talk about other things. It's a small enough group, I'm happy to change the game. Anyone interested, not interested? Hi, Peter.
Can I ask an unrelated question?
Yeah.
Would it be okay if I ate?
Absolutely.
I know that's not tradition, like traditionally when the teacher, I guess I was teaching you never like eat, but
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No.
Or just sit in the hallway and like eat.
No. Just you have to think of emptiness every time you eat.
Okay, if anyone wants a bite, come over here. Thank you.
Cool.
Actually, I thought this was the last ACI 10 class, so I'm surprised but happy to, or not ACI 10, ACI 7, 8. I thought this was 10 of 8. So.
No, it isn't.
You guys are tricky.
We do once a month Buddhism 101.
I love it. I'm ready. Let's do it.
There's something happened this week. I think we didn't promote it or something. Usually it's like last time it was like 4. Yeah. So I don't know what it was.
It wasn't as intense, the promotion.
Huh?
I think it wasn't as intense, the promotion. Somehow.
This time around.
This week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did we
Fine
promote
with me.
it?
I was coming in.
I put it on Twitter. Lucy put it on Facebook.
And we do have plans for tonight. It's fine for me. I don't know how other people.
Yeah, okay. So I'll share what I thought I was going to share. I basically want to say that the discussion of daily practice, which is what I want to talk about, waking up in the morning, what should go through our minds based on what we know, and every moment on the day until we go to sleep. So I just want to basically say what should happen in the 24-hour period. Out of all this stuff we're learning, that's fine. So let's say, imagine we stop going to classes, or you move to Australia, there's no teachers, or whatever it is that happens to you, and you get disconnected from this convenient thing. We could go once a week and have discussions with Dharma friends and philosophize, and then still maintain a normal life. What happens then, day to day, for 24 hours? And there are some anchors and some triggers that help me transcend the idea of thought of these things into an experience and a feeling, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. So it assumes two things. It assumes that you've got some level of renunciation. It assumes that you're fed up of something. Yeah? So the discussion today, that the idea to go into a practice assumes you're already said, okay, I've had enough failures of a megalithic proportion in my experience of life to know that it's not out there in the things that I thought they were where I find meaning and purpose and drive. And that is not a depressing thing, that's not a guilt thing, that's not a terrible thing. So like we talked at the last one, it's actually fuel for more deeper, honest, truer experience. So that's one of the assumptions. The assumption is I've got some renunciation, so I wanted to do an exercise with you guys. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you should all have a pen. I wonder where the pen is.
Do you need paper?
Huh?
You need paper?
No, this is fine. Just break that in two. And
Can you grab me one? If you're going to get a pen,
Could you
can
get another
and I'll
one?
do another one as well.
Is there a
There's a jar of them
jar
on the
of
desk right there.
We'll put them back. They can fold them. Okay, that's good.
We're Buddhists, we don't steal pens, right? At least we try not to.
Sorry.
How'd you do it? You went like that.
That's
Check
good.
that out.
How weird. If I have your passport, get around, but not here.
don't sell things?
It's at the Nepali consulate.
Oh, so it's in?
Tomorrow I'll pick it up.
I'm good.
That's
Thank
fantastic.
If all goes according to the plans, and then I'll have them for Sunday.
With the money order work?
Yeah, 1 month or 1 month.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
you. Yay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you a lot.
We're going on that fall.
So I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about, well, if we do presume that any kind of practice that would be longer than a week interest in Dharma or 3 months of interest in Dharma or, oh, this is a new flavor for 3 weeks or a year or whatever it is. It's my new best thing. If it's going to last you a lifetime, it needs to be more than a phase. Yeah? And we are in a world where phases come and go and come and go. So what is it going to take for some experience? I'm calling it Dharma, but it's something that says to you, I want to figure it out. Yeah? And so it assumes a renunciation to something. So I'm going to ask you if on that sheet of paper you could write the thing, the pattern, the experience, whether it's a moment or a thing that you are most fed up with and actually wish to fix. You know, for me, it's things, it is,
Don't tell us.
okay.
I'm already writing, Hector.
I'm already writing.
Exactly what mine is.
And try and make it succinct. Yeah, make it as succinct and clear as possible. What's the thing that either at this time of your life or in your life so far, you keep seeing popping up in your experience of it and you're like, I'm done with that. Like I see it all the time and I'm sick and tired of that. Yeah?
In the world or within
In
yourself?
your world, which includes within yourself. Yeah. So it could be a pattern, an addiction, a feeling of always loneliness, a feeling of judgment. It could be I'm always excited about my new job, my job always fails. I don't know what it is. It could be 1,000 things, but each of us have our flavor of those. We can group them into summaries, but really, if we're going to talk about having enough fuel in our tank to projectile us outside the orbit of this suffering life, it needs to be jet fuel of the best proportion. It can't just be, I don't like orange mornings or something. You know, like it's got to be something strong.
So the thing that you most wish to, like that's like feeding you.
I'm like feeling the same way because I hear your words,
Yeah,
but I
I
have
know.
no idea what to write.
Hence my throwing you a piece of paper. If you don't know this, what the hell is getting you on a cushion every morning? Nothing. So you've got to know something. Unless it's a fact, unless it's I want to look Tibetan Buddhist, you know. If it's something else and you're having a blockage, it's either you're not looking at it, you're too distracted to see it. Either my instructions are a little vague, but I don't want to make them too specific either. What is it about your life that you wish you could fix? And it could be something that you create in your world or something that keeps popping up in your world. And at different times of my life, that answer was slightly different. The longer I live, the more obvious it becomes to me what the major themes or patterns of my life are. And I can tell you some. the things that I feel at the moment most renunciant about. This is how we make it real. Other than that, it's just an idea. It's just a heady, you know. And if it's difficult, then good. It means you have something to work with. If you don't know, what do you think your feedback is in your world? What are the obstacles you keep finding? What do people keep telling you? This is your problem, directly or indirectly. Because on that basis, I want to talk about practice. Otherwise, it's just another activity. It's just, let's go to Starbucks, or let's find out about jogging, or let's find out about rock climbing, or something.
People have been telling me that I'm getting better since I meditated more. Just better.
As a being to connect with.
Yes.
No, at rock climbing.
Yes.
That rock climbing. Good. Better than what?
Well, they liked me before, but they say, "Wow, we like you."
I like you a lot more now. Okay.
Even more now. Yeah.
I would ask, what did you dislike? Anyway, what did I get rid of that was good to get rid of?
It's what I did.
Okay. No, I'm trying to get something out of you now. Yeah. Of course, I want to be friendly and all this other
I
stuff.
know exactly what it is.
But I actually think if that, whatever that thing on the piece of paper is, that's got to be. Like I think I still got it. I wrote something similar on mine in 1991 or something, and I forgot all about it.
That's great.
And then I found it. There it is, and it's on.
Awesome.
It's on. It was in the 90s, yeah. And before I met Buddhism or anything like that, I sort of got fed up with things. And then I'm going to ask you to do on the other side of the piece of paper what I did here, yeah. Which is, it needs to be, so renunciation is one thing, yeah? I'm fed up of always feeling rejected. I'm fed up of always misinterpreting people. I'm fed up with making the same mistakes in business. I'm fed up with having beautiful things fall apart. I'm fed up with, like I could say over and over, I can review my life and I can say I was fed up at that time, I got enough of that at that time, I was fed up. And if I could change it, I would change it. Yeah? Can it become a lesson later? Absolutely. Yeah? But did I really want my dad to die the way he died? No. Did I really want to go through 3 businesses that dealing with the same kind of flavor with my business partner, with stealing and accusing each other and ending disliking each other when you started really liking someone? Like we started something because it was something beautiful. So why 3 business partners in a row ended up being something distasteful at the end? Yeah, so it was either me, it was them, or it was something bigger, right? It was them, me, or us, or something else. So I can point to all the things. Yeah, I wish I didn't think I was fat when I was skinnier than now for 15 years. I wish I could have taken the shirt off at the beach when I was 19, but I couldn't because my mind said you're a fat bastard. I wasn't a fat bastard compared to now. Now I'm a fat bastard. And that thing continues and it plagues you, and that thing I wish I didn't have. Do you see it? Yeah. I sabotaged aspects of my life that I didn't see I was sabotaging until later on. And now I'm like, I wish I didn't sabotage. So what is it? Because I'd like to apply whatever practice. I don't care if it's Tibetan practice, I don't care if it's Hindu practice, I don't care if it's practice from a lunar module. If it's going to help me get free from that suffering, I want to know about it and I want to figure it out. Lucky for me, I met somebody that ignited something and then all this magic happened, but it forced me to look at myself in a new way and it helped me begin to free myself of those things. For me, am I there? Absolutely not. I'm thinking I'm a fat bastard. Yeah? But do I think there's progress? I think we just talked about it out there. Absolutely. I don't think I've met anything that has given me that kind of inner power. So to do that, it requires longevity of practice. So the fuel for the practice better be strong enough fuel is the point. And that's the negative. You noticed I'm talking negative, right?
I just meant in a joke, like
No, but it's
in a
true.
humor where you kind of
Yeah.
always
Yeah, the
look at
self-deprecating.
Look at the self-deprecating.
Yeah. Deprecating or deprecating?
Deprecating.
Defecate.
Defecating. The self-deprecating
Self-defecated.
practice. So that's part A. Who's got that clear in their mind? Who's got that? Yeah, cool.
You just want one of those things.
Just one. Pick one. It doesn't matter, right? It'll be one at the moment. Because when I'm thinking fat bastard, it's the fat bastard thing. And then once I forget about that and it's the business, then it's the business. But you can generalize them and then call them samsara, right? But if you pick one, it's specific and real enough and you've got something to work with. And it's something in that period of your life or this period of your life. So that's part A. And that's the hurt, the yuck, the suffering. That's not enough to be fuel. You need to mix the fuel to make it super fuel. For it to be super fuel, in other words, for it to be able to push you enough to the edge of the atmosphere and enough kick to get beyond the atmosphere, it needs to have bodhicitta. So you need to have renunciation and then you need to have some kind of bodhicitta in the Mahayana beat, whatever it is, if it's going to serve you with later practices and so on. So you then need to look at that thing. We need to look at that thing that we're renouncing, the thing we're fed up in, and see how we can mix that with bodhicitta. Saying, how can I look at my world and say, either, if I figure this out, look at all the beings I can free from this same thing. If I really figure out the self-defecating thing, imagine I took it very seriously or something, and I know people in the world who cannot get past that negative self-look. Yeah? If I really figured out how to get rid of that paralyzing behavior, I can tell you now all the people that would be helped by that. I could be of service to, if I could really figure it out. So that's one way of turning the fuel into bodhicitta, mixing it with the wish for someone else, the wish practical, not like, oh, I have the wish for all sentient beings. I don't know all sentient beings. These are my sentient beings. Yeah, the people that are in my everyday, they are my every world. There is no one else to get enlightened with other than your roommates, your friends, like the people you hang out at Skips, the guy with the funny, what do you call him, Jazz, what his name is, the weird guy with the sword. Yeah, there's no one else to get enlightened with but these people. For you, for me, the people in your world, that's everyone. And yeah, you can grow into the idea of the people in Africa and the people in Earth, but if you're not hanging out with them, they're still just you.
That's Dharma Chai.
Yeah, that's Dharma Chai. That's Dharma Chai. So then, what else do you think you could do to turn your renunciation into bodhicitta? Other than thinking, oh, if I learned this, I could free other people.
What's the other shot?
Yeah, I'm trying to get you to think, but specifically, how can your renunciation be elixir and mixed into something like alchemy to turn it into super fuel?
Can it be very specific too?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like I passed this guy who's a Vietnam vet, or Iraq vet.
Yeah.
Like sitting in the same spot every day and begging. It's like him. It's like walking by him.
Right.
And feeling so shitty and feeling like I can't help him at all.
Right. So if you could help him, right, it does something to you.
Yeah, just the idea of
Good. Yeah. Good. Any other suggestions? This is open now.
I mean, the thing I want to renounce is looking outside myself for affirmation to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, other people's that
In any way, whether it's people or
Yeah.
relationships or work, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Looking rather than realizing that it's all inside. It's what Rumi talks about. It's all here. And then once you realize the solution to that is realizing that and then becoming a gift.
Nice. That's nice. And do you have some kind of vision or idea of what that would look like in a practical way?
I'm trying.
Okay. No,
but I know. I mean, I'm being a little glib, but at the same time, it's a different mode of engaging the world.
perfect.
Yeah, rather than engaging the world, like how am I going to be okay from this relationship, this boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, friend, work. What can I give to this?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
and because it's through meditation, almost on meditation, the universe begins to pour it into my heart, and instead of being up here all the time, I'm in here. So.
okay, no, that's good. Anyone else want to share?
I don't know how to fix mine.
You don't know how to fix it? We haven't gotten to fixing it. We just what is
Oh,
it?
we're just sharing
and
them?
how to turn it into
Oh, I
action.
thought- Well, he was talking about the universe, and
He's
I
talking about
don't
the
know what to
universe.
say.
He's allowed to. He's a person. He can talk about the universe.
Mine is perceived imperfections, and mine's twofold: fear of and drive to remedy. Perceived
And drive to remedy.
perceived imperfections.
Explain it.
It's part of the reason why I'm attracted to Buddhism, because to achieve the perfect state of mind. So that's kind of difficult. But anything, external relationships, how I perceive myself, how I'm completing a task.
You're forever looking and finding imperfections, is what you're saying. Let me just try and understand.
Yeah.
So you're saying judgment, being judgmental, if I can dumb it.
That can work, yeah.
Yeah? Being hyper-judgmental.
Yes.
Notice how I put in the hyper in there. Or feeling a sense of nothing out there is perfect. And so you're full. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely do that too.
Okay. Yeah, no, we'll all find, like, if we're on planet this one with perceptions of samsaric existence, we should share a whole bunch of them. Yeah, together. But that's why we're human. Like, that's why the 84,000 mental afflictions. You know,
Yeah.
we probably share a few of them.
I love planet this one.
Yeah, planet this one. Okay. Do you have a grasp on what you just said, though?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you want to renounce that, or you wish that wasn't occurring in your life? What's the feeling?
I feel like I should renounce it, but I don't want to renounce it.
Okay.
But I know I should, so I want to.
You have some attachment to.
But the renunciation would then be part of the drive.
I like it.
To
You're
see
such
how
a
it
Eddie.
goes.
Okay. She's tricking herself to keep it. Yeah. That's nice. Cool. But look, you're finding something. Yeah. So it has life. Yours had life. Pete, when you talked about that Vietnam, that had life, right? That had like a.
And we really don't know. There's a part of us that wants to hold on to these stories.
That's identity with those things. We identify with the thing that we're channeling, that we're experiencing, that we're the conduit for, rather than recognizing we're just the conduit for something that passes. Yeah. So we think we're the thing that's flowing through us, and in a way we become that. You know. Hence the practice. We're trying to put different shit through the conduit. You know, until we're out of the idea that it's this changing crappy thing or this negative thing. Yeah. Then you realize you're not that.
Yeah.
Do you want?
Sure. Mine is kind of similar. I guess the thing that drives me or that I want to change is the anxiety that I feel that stems from never feeling like I can be enough or be good enough or do enough. It's this thing where it's I just feel like I can never be good enough for someone else or for myself or live up to the expectation of family, of friends, of partners, of at work, at
This cognitive psychologist called Jeffrey Young, I think I quote him every now and then, he talks about 17 or 18
Jeffrey
schemas. Jeffrey Young, yeah. He talks about this 17 or 18 schemas we have, and one of them is, I'm not putting
Right.
schemas meaning self-perpetuating.
yeah.
Can I say something about that? Because, like, I obviously have like looked into this type of feeling a lot, and I think like the general consensus that I've found on the internet is that like there are cultures that don't have this type of problem, and by that I mean what we would label as like a self-esteem issue. Could you possibly talk a little bit about that, or like from what you've seen or what you know?
But I'm happy to. Look, we have the quick answer I can give you to that is that's absolutely true. We have luxury problems that are particular to our luxury. You know, you go and spend time with millionaire kids, and they're having very different problems than non-millionaire kids, and they're still human, and they're still kids, and they're still in the Western world. You take someone out of the Western world, so my personal experience is I grew up in Argentina. I see some marked differences about how self-esteem or not self-esteem plays out in a place where you don't have time to think about yourself so much, and all you have to do is work and feed yourself and feed your family and fight over it. There's no time to think of luxury problems. And the more leisure and fortune we have, and it's sort of, I think metaphorically Dharma talks about it when it refers to the realms of existence, metaphorically. But in places you don't have the time to investigate and have all that abundance, you don't have these problems because there's no time.
Do you think it's simply a lack of abundance that's
No, I think it's habitual, and I think this is where Dharma really works perfectly for me. The idea of the four ways that karma flowers, one being the environment, one being habit, one being like equals like, one being stuff lives over. So karma flowers in four specific ways. One is where the hell you exist. And we exist in a place where this habit is okay, or this habit is common ground. And whether it's here or in South America, then the guilt and the thing and the not enough is prevalent in a different way. It's not, it's not even conscious as I've got enough time to recognize that I can overcome this problem. You live the problem like an animal has no choice but to be instinctual, where you have to live a certain different kind of life.
I just want to say one more thing. I think it was with you. We had a quick conversation about cultures that put so much emphasis on the individual and hyper-individualism and like mostly capitalist cultures, how, walking down the street in New York City or any major city in the US, for example, you're constantly bombarded with advertisements that tell you do this to improve yourself, do this to improve your life. So I don't know if this is going to help anyone or like spark anything, but the idea that that's what we're attending to kind of is perpetuating what we're trying to reverse by coming to these classes and like.
I actually think it's what works both ways. Nothing is self-existent, right? So
okay, you're right.
I think it actually works both ways. No, but they function. They can function in that way. So that, yes, they function, and it's not self-existent, and that dichotomy we have to abide in.
Right.
I think that Buddhism in the West, or these philosophies in yoga as well in the West, are getting airplay because we're so obsessed with the self. So it's like, and then for some of us, or some of you, or whoever, it's like a negative impulse, a negative habit, an unseen negative habit got you in because you're like, I want to be a better enlightened being, But then once you're in, there's this humbling period, if you get to see it. Yeah, and it stops being about the ego and acquiring. And I think I talked about it in the last 101 where we talked about having badges. So I wear Dharma like a badge. I wear Dharma as in, I've got my Hayana Buddhism, and I do all these silly rituals. No, and it is a status symbol. It's not a Mercedes, because we not like those people that drive Mercedes. We do rituals, And I'm not saying everyone is like that, but I know we all have the potential to do that because we're still human. We still have those patterns. And I think the propensity for that, acquiring a new badge for your identity, is a way that we plug in. And then if you're really listening or if you're right, then you're in, and then you either have to unmask and then you actually can use all these things we're going to talk about now, which is the practices.
Can you talk a little bit more about like nothing being self-existent? Like what you really mean by that?
Yep, which is the next topic I want to talk about. So, welcome for those latecomers. I don't know what happened today. I think we scared everybody. No, at the last course. But what I want to talk about today is that not so heady and more practice. Yeah, more practice. And to preempt the practice, which we haven't gotten there yet, is like before you do any kind of practice that's going to give you a result, if you're actually using the short period we have as human lives for anything meaningful for this realm and for yourself, then you want to turn on Dharma in a way that it will last you and orbit you out of samsara. And the fuel, I'm saying, is twofold: renunciation and bodhicitta. So we did a little exercise where we say, well, what do I renounce? What am I sick of? What do I not want anymore? And then the second part of the conversation now was, well, how do I turn that into bodhicitta? How do I turn that to the wish to be free of that thing, not just for me, not just selfish? So it's not a funnel. It's not just for me. It's for them. It's got a bigger scope. It will give you a bigger result if you want to look at it selfishly. Anything focused on just me will give you that kind of result. Anything focused on them, everyone, will give you that kind of result. It's still a karma. Using the law of karma, the more you take care of all of them, the more all of them will appear as being taken care of you.
It also helps to work against the illusion that we're disconnected.
Exactly. Yeah, beautiful. So then we're trying to figure out specifics to do that. So the first assumption is fuel is renunciation and bodhicitta. Sorry, you don't see that. It looks really good. And the vehicle, I want to say, the spaceship. It's not just your mind. It's your mind understanding, connecting with reality and the way it functions. Karma and emptiness. And that's the machinery we're using for our spaceship. I'm going to continue on that metaphor, I'm just making it up. So, right, understanding karma and emptiness. And yes, we need to hear it 1,000 times, but we can't stop listening to it as we hear it. Yeah, and that's where your question comes from, around not self-existent. Yeah? From a Hinayana vehicle or an Abhidharma vehicle, you'll hear the term no self. And then Westerners, we have a problem with no self. But I am a self. I am Hector. I'm here. I'm perceived as separate. There is a self here. It's not talking about that. Yes, we have an ego, and yes, there is a personality, and here there's a creature, and so on. It's not destroying that. No self doesn't mean that. And we have to, as many ways as we can get at this idea, we have to keep going to this idea until we get a visceral aha. Yeah? And that is, nothing has any nature of its own. It has no self-existence. It doesn't exist separate to you. Nothing exists the way it exists over there, separate from whoever's perceiving it. And this takes time and blah, blah, blah. Which then, and I won't go into it too much more, it goes into the question, why is it appearing this way for me and that way for them? Why is it this way? Why is this really good, exciting water and that's really terrible, drowning liquid for another being? That's a valid question about this thing. And it sounds philosophical, but it's practical. It's actually looking rawly at the world we exist in, without peeling away the habits of human. rather than the habits of Western humans, which we were talking about, the ego problem and the self and the blah, 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 right? The luxury problems. That's just an augmentation of a Western human, let's say. This is saying, well, what's real? We're peeling away the assumptions of a human. Because there are more than humans existing in this realm, we know for sure. It's not like a story, or we know for sure that this realm, this thing we're trying to define and label, universe and planets and sections and this and atoms and that, that's just human. So peel away the human and what is there, what exists there. And then you're dealing with reality and not augmented reality from a luxury problem perspective, which is the human luxury problem. Yeah. So understanding that we're dealing with ultimate reality, all of reality, not reality as seen through the eyes of an infected human, albeit sometimes well infected, nicely infected. Yeah, because we have beautiful perceptions and lovely experiences and so on. So any practice, if it's going to have a result of transforming you, and this whole game is transformation of consciousness. It's transforming the way our consciousness is. At the moment, it's in the vessel of human. We know there's not just that vessel. Looking at what is, the realm of is. Yeah, I'm going to say the realm of is. What is.
It just comes back to the idea that there's nothing that separates me from you, like my suffering from your suffering, or like me from you. Like it's all.
It depends. I can't tell how you are experiencing that statement.
Right.
Okay, but I can say yes and no.
Right.
So I can say yes. I can say yes in a certain way, and no. I'm answering you. I'm here.
Right.
You're there.
Right.
Yeah. So there is relative reality. Yes and no.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we perceive ourselves separate from each other.
Correct. But are we separate?
Hey, Hector, can I just chime in here?
Yeah.
I really liked what you said, the way you articulated it, because I think that's actually deeper down from so much of our struggles. I think we struggle with things like material things and relationships, and underneath that is this need to feel accepted and to feel like we're good enough and to feel like we're recognized. And I think it takes some awareness actually to even see that. So I like the way you articulated it, and I think using how, understanding that doesn't have to be that way, and that through practice it can be a different way, is really exciting. But at the same time, I think it's important to just kind of recognize that that's where you are, but it's where you are sometimes, and that's where, in a way, I think everyone is sometimes.
Thank you for acknowledging it. It's true and it's nice. And I want to connect back to what you acknowledged, which was knowing that you are not that thing. Yeah, recognizing that yes, you have that now streaming through your conduit, but you are not that thing. That is freeing. That is truly freeing. Like it has a point where it would end. If you are not that, and you're just experiencing the flow of that, then you get busy figuring out what to do, practice, to change that thing that you've done. Yeah. And hence it becomes fuel. Yeah.
No, I'm really sorry. Is it kind of that we're in this vessel for now, just for this ride?
And for now, and for now, and for
Right.
now, and for now, and for now.
Right.
For now, and then the next bastard will be and for now, and for now. And there's this reset period between. I forget periods between lifetimes. I mean, I have enough investigation practice where I feel in myself, I've internalized that to a conceptualization where it makes sense to me, right? But I can't force that on anyone else. So forget for a second past and future lives, which is the for now and for now, for now. There's a reset that happens between life and death, and then all the impulses that come from somewhere. right? So we're saying it comes from before. I don't even know what impulses I had when I was 4. Forget that 4. I don't remember the impulses I had when I was 14. That's my past life. I don't remember, but I know I did stuff with certain motivations that are forcing me to perceive my world as I see it today. Karma and emptiness. The world isn't the way that I must see it through my prism. My prism has a particular angle to the glass because I've constructed that through my doing earlier on in this life or before. I don't care how you conceptualize it, but recognize you see in the world what is in you. Yeah? And either you've either consciously or subconsciously, habitually, you're forcing that.
That's karma. That's karma.
Yeah.
That's karma.
So, okay. What does it matter?
We're still in the rocket and the ship. We haven't even got to practice yet. Yeah, we haven't launched off.
You
We're
can
still
tell us to hold our questions.
No. It's good. I like
Especially
the engagement.
Rachel. She likes to get a
She
few
likes
in
a
there.
lot in
Sorry,
the
this one.
I'm just teasing, Dave.
He's being judgmental. Don't worry about it.
It's my thing.
Keep going.
Okay, this is kind of an annoying question though.
Great.
What does it
You're
matter
all annoying.
that to a fly that jug of water is a place to drown if I'm a human and this series of perceptions is always going to be human for my lifetime? Like, what does it matter?
Yeah.
Like, how does that prove anything? Because it's still only going to ever be water for these purposes because I'm a human.
Yeah, but
Do
if
you see
you're
what I'm saying?
perceiving a fly to drown in it, then that's your perception.
No, what I'm saying is, as far as things not being,
Not, as far as other things not being your perception.
no. I'm
I
saying,
think she's saying what's in there for a fly if she doesn't remember it. I think that's what she's saying.
no, I'm saying like, okay, so that water doesn't have any nature. That's its own nature. Because when different things perceive it, it can be different things. So my question is,
That liquid.
right? Why does that matter? Like I'm accepting it and
Oh,
like, I'm
because
going
you're-
with it and like the
Good,
I
good,
get
good.
the premise,
No,
but like
Because you
why?
can see it as anything. If that's true, then you can see it as anything.
If what's true? If
If
fly
it doesn't
can
have
see
any
it?
nature from its own side.
It's actually pretty trivial for water, but it's more important.
For the
It's
perceiver.
more.
Yeah.
It's more applicable when a loved one dies or when you lose your job. Because it's the same as the water, and that's when it's really hard to see it like that. Actually.
That's an
Wait,
awesome
what?
answer. So the bottom line
Yeah.
is, if this has no nature of its own,
But how does it not have its own nature?
I'm just saying if, because I'm answering your question first.
Oh, okay, sorry. Go ahead.
So if it doesn't have a nature of its own,
Mhm.
it can be perceived in more ways than one at the same time.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So it is water, which is giving me sustenance and deliciousness.
Mhm.
And then a fly drowns in it, it can't be water and deliciousness. The thing's dead because of that liquid. It is a death-producing nectar.
So it's not from the perception of the fly; it would be us perceiving
No,
the fly
it's
as
both.
dying.
It's both. But from the perception of the fly, if you were a fly right now and this room instantly flooded enough for you to lose your breath, it would matter to you. Yeah, it would instantly matter with as minimal cognition as you perceive flies to have. The fact that it can fly and then it cannot because it's consumed instantly by this constant wetness and so on. Yeah,
Right,
and
I get that.
okay, so what produced that perception? If it's not coming from there, what produced the perception that it's beautiful liquid or terrible thing? Where did that come from?
From the perceiver.
So,
From the perceiver.
Right.
Yeah, how did it choose it? Did the fly choose to say, from now on, I wish to be overwhelmed by wet and flowing substance that will stop me from moving my wings and I cannot move anymore. And now I no longer am. And I feel squished. Or did you say, I choose to see water from this well as beautiful, life-giving?
So you're saying that the fly does not have a choice?
None of us have a choice. You are perceiving it the way you are perceiving it.
But isn't the
But it's not
choice to
coming.
like have a practice to change your perception so when your loved one dies you can shift?
but I thought you said you create your own reality.
Yeah,
So-
but I'm not saying we wish them into being.
Yeah.
Like, you're forced to see that as water now. Don't look at that as water. You wish it to be gold, please. Do it. Do it now. Quick.
I'm doing it. You just can't see them.
But do you see it gold? Really?
No.
No. And the water, and it's the same. So it matters because if we're looking at reality, peeling away the forced perception of waterness or whatever, and we haven't even gotten to the answer that Pete said, which is where it really matters. If this is true here, then it's true for that, and it's true for that, and it's true for that, and it's true for that, because you can do a few investigations and everything, without exception, does not have a nature of its own. It is empty of having that nature. Therefore, everything has the magnificent potential to be life-giving nectar, horrible drowning stuff, or neutrality in between. And therefore, if you know what is forcing the perception for a being to see liquid as forcing you to die, or liquid as forcing you to live, if you know what's forcing that perception upon you, then you can work with that. And the answer here is karma. Understanding karma. But karma doesn't ripen like we just tried wishing something to be. So the fact that it is empty of having that nature, and the fact that its nature comes from the perceiver, does not mean the perceiver can produce that nature instantly. It means something else is at work producing that reality for the perceiver. And it's nothing to do with my wish now, to change it now.
So just because of that temporal aspect.
Because there's a time delay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the
And
time delay is what karma stands on?
What do you mean stands?
Like logically speaking. The time delay.
Karma grows. It grows over time. It's
As
one of
the-
the. It's
You
one of the
experience, like we are now living in the results of some inner system energy we are calling karma.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the ripening of that experience is occurring right now for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
For stuff it had nothing to do with what we did coming in here a minute ago. We're now riding on a life that was constructed, and this is the other crazy thing. It's like the way I threw those cards. Some cards went faster, and some cards went lower, and some cards didn't even get there. Karma's like that. We're doing that sending, and each time we're sending, we're experiencing reality appearing as if that thing that I just did forced this experience, but it didn't. This teaching says, and this profound teaching says, that the time delay that is occurring is your doing, but you just don't remember what you did to create this experience right now. And practice is reconciling that and seeing the map of that reality from a way where you can see those links. But not because I told you, not because the Buddha said, not because Shantideva said, because you did some practice and you verified something for yourself. So tried and tested, 2,500 years, the proof of emptiness. Then that's why you have to do study. Tried and tested the proofs of karma. That's why you have to do study. And then you have to practice. And practice doesn't just come because you wish it. Practice comes from habituation, mental habituation. So that's the quickest answer I can give
What's
you.
the difference between mental habituation and wishing?
Between mental
Persistence.
habituation and what?
And wishing.
Yeah.
Wishing has an instantaneous quality to it, doesn't
No,
No,
I think
wait.
mental habituation is also some kind of act. Like wishing is I think from the way I'm hearing it, some kind of passive, without engaging in some kind of act, which moves the mind towards that wish, if you like. Yeah, wishing is a kind of karma. It is an intent. It is a movement. And then from the wishing comes from two more karma. So the wishing, if you like, if you want to use that, is a motivating karma. And then the actions and the deeds of body and speech are the motivated karmas. So you can have the wish as the motivating karma. Any wish is just that. Then you'd have to do something. And then you've got to learn the mechanics of your spaceship to figure out how to make some karmas ripen quicker so you can get a direct experience of, is this true or not for me? Did this make sense to me? Because my teaching might not be for you. This might not be making sense to you. And then you have to find something that does, but answers the questions of life. So you can apply it to the ultimate experience of life and living, or the transitions you do. You know?
So in a more fundamental way, is it about the action we take in relationship to matter, to form, and then how we observe the results of those actions?
I think it depends on where you are at, you know? I think at whatever level of understanding you are at, some people might give you an answer to say, there's nothing you can do. And that is true. But it depends on where you're at. And that if you're needing to do something, then there's something you can do.
But I'm just saying, like, if I was a fly and I ended up drowning in the water, that's because I jumped into the water. Whereas, I don't know. Anyway, I'm just trying to make a relationship between what I do in terms of choices in my karma, in my relationships in my karma.
We invoke our qualities and our experiences through our actions of body, speech, and mind. Yeah. So then the field of karma we are experiencing has something to do with where you are abiding in. Because for a being who is in some kind of practice, and that practice goes beyond I sit in the cushion and now I'm done with my practice, church on Sunday, and I have the normal everyday life after that, right? I'm saying beyond that. And it's beyond I'm meditating for 15 minutes and I'm a good meditator. It goes beyond that. If I'm saying a being is abiding in an internal practice where they, for lack of a better term, they walk around the planet with a tantric view of what's occurring in this world. So they've habituated enough time, maybe 5 years in the cushion, consistently at the same time, in order to get their mind to a certain state. And then when they get off the cushion, they maintain a certain portion of that state. And then they go through the day with a certain view of that state. For that being, someone punching them in the face or taking away their job or burning their house down, it looks and it's experienced differently to a being who is like meditating 15 minutes and then frantically going around the world, living in the world, engaging with the material world. Yeah. The action is exactly the same, but I think, and I can't even quote where I can tell you to look for this other than Kabbalah, yeah? I think that the field of experience that you're practicing in gets you in the karmic forest part of your mind where you stop creating certain kinds of karma, which then feeds on itself and creates certain kind of thing. That's
what you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about, it's not just about, I've got all this information in my mind, now I've got to look at the world that way. It's nothing to do with that.
It's really beyond the mind.
It's way beyond. That's why I said transcending thought into wisdom. You've got to transcend the way you're thinking about these things. It's nothing to do with the thinking. The thinking is just the ping triggers to get you to have wisdom, which are the realizations. And without those, there is no long-termness to your practice. There's no transforming your consciousness other than little snippets. And you've planted a nice little seed over there and then you're off creating the same weeds that we all are. So, the basis of practice presumes that we have some kind of understanding about karma and some kind of understanding about emptiness, to whatever level we're at. And it's like, I wish I knew everything. I wish I knew everything. I don't know everything. But whatever I know, it's serving me to use. That's all you got to do. Use what you know. But use it, don't acquire knowledge for the sake of acquiring knowledge. Use it to address something. And that something should be on your sheet of paper that says, I'm sick of that. I want to stop that. I want to know what that is. Yeah? Does that answer your question somewhat? No.
It answers a lot of questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, just to check your understanding of karma. What's karma? And don't give me the definition. Tell me what you think karma is. You have to tell someone that doesn't. Like, you have to tell my mom, what's karma?
Seeds.
It's the real causes for what's happening.
That's nice. Okay.
Maybe invisible or underlying causes.
Okay. That's a nice way of that's not language, not from a little world that we've created, which is a problem. Part of us getting together as Sangha is a problem. Part of me teaching this stuff over and over is a problem because we have the conduit process of saying whatever we're habituated to, we begin to ignore. Yeah? So we have to double our efforts to make it into a practice because we've said, I've heard that. Or I've heard that. So it's either finding new words, finding meaningful connections, and so on that really trigger the aliveness that you felt when you were describing the Vietnam vet, yeah, not a veterinarian.
I would say too, it's like the way that our actions and deeds affect us, and like it's like the way our actions and deeds reflect upon us.
That's nice. I like that. It's like giving me a feeling of a mirror kind of experience. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. That's good. Mm-hmm.
It's everything. It is you. It is everything you'll ever experience.
Nice.
It's
Nice.
everything.
Karma is everything. You're so wise in the ways of karma. That's good. You have to come with, so you have to figure that out, right? You have to study to get some other people's words and conceptions, and one of them is going to grab you, or several of them is going to grab you, and you've got to then deepen that and test it to see if it works. And then you have something to practice. Otherwise, what are we? We're just like, oh yeah, I'm a Buddhist, So, the 4 of karma, do you remember those? You didn't tell me all of them. Don't tell me the 16. Tell me the 4 of 4. There's 4 basic things that you should know about karma. Yeah? And that is...
There's 4.
It's
There's 4 laws of karma.
It's certain.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the 4. Yeah. That's the 4 laws of karma. Meaning it's certain. Like karma means it's certain, right? Meaning whatever is done is done. Yeah? And then give you a result. There's 3 others in that group. There's 4 groups of 4. So that group is called
The laws of karma.
laws of karma. The first law is
Good produces good.
like produces like, right? So it's got the same. If your intention mostly, it's 95% intention, right? If your intention is of a negative nature, you wish to hurt someone, the karma planted has that quality, regardless whether you're smiling at them or frowning at them. Okay? I can smile at Billy and go, "Oh, I like you so much," and in my mind, I'm thinking, "What an asshole." Yeah, and sorry, and
Sorry, I could take it.
yeah, but that's really what I'm planting. Don't fool yourself. That's really what I'm planting. It's not smile, you're a nice guy. The intention, and so
Intention matters.
that's what's creating. That's what like produces like. Yeah, and then to get more complex, I must experience a world full of people smiling at me, and then me feeling like they're not telling me the truth. Like something's off. They're all smiling at me, but I feel like they think I'm a dick. Why? They're so mean. They're terrible. So that's the first law. And then you've got to figure out where to apply that, where to test that, where to see that, where to look for that. And what does that do? That should immediately short circuit anything that you do to plant negativity in your world. And then everybody that's an asshole in your world becomes a beautiful reflection of what you have inside of you. Because if karma and emptiness is true, there's no other way that this being is experienced in this way were it not for me having that quality in me, therefore planting it to some degree in the past. So that is now informing me I don't want that in my world anymore. So I will do my very best not to. As soon as I see a terrible thing happen in my world, I make sure not to do that thing anymore. And if I'm sure that I haven't done it, then I'm sure not to keep doing it, because this is the ending of that. That's a practice. That's a day-to-day practice. Did that make sense to people or not?
Yeah. I kind of feel like in my practice, especially this last year, and meditating more, karma is the stuff in life that I have to go through, the little choices to come back to the source of who I am or where I came from. Kind of like salmon going upstream against the current, coming back to the source of where it came from.
Yeah, there's two things I like about that metaphor. Yeah, three things. One, it's familiar to me. Two, I like going back to the source because it means you're heading to truth. And then I like going against the stream because our impulses are the opposite of that. You know, the impulses are, he doesn't like me, I don't like him. And it's instantly we must turn around from that impulse if we want to transform negativity into positivity. Yeah.
So then, in that situation, you're saying like, okay, like your intention's really important, and you're smiling, but you're being angry inside. Doesn't that also have to do like if your intention is to not act harshly, even though you're feeling, like, because it's the whole fake it till you make it thing, which like I feel like we've talked about several times in this room.
You're right. It's better than screaming at them.
Right.
So
then.
But that's colored with a different
intention.
Right. It's not as good.
Yeah. The only negative emotion that is qualified as a positive karma, what was it? Do you remember it?
I'm sorry. Say it one more time.
The only negative experience or a negative emotion that is qualified in the Abhidharma as a positive karma.
Is it sympathy?
No. Do you remember it?
Wrath?
Huh?
Yeah. I would think like anger or rage, but for to be really get so angry that you're fed up that it leads you to renunciation.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember. I had it a second ago and I can't remember.
Is it forgetfulness?
Could be forgetfulness. I think it's the only negative emotion that gives you a good result. No, there is one and I'll look it up. I think I had it in the last one.
Negative emotion gives you.
There's only one negative emotion described that actually
What's a negative emotion?
meaning like you feel anger or frustration or any of those afflictions are negativities in your mind.
Desire is used
Sadness?
for attainment. Like in the Tantras, like fire, wood is good because it creates more fire. Passions are good because it creates more realization.
Right. But we're open teaching now and we're teaching sutra. So I was talking about something slightly different, but thank you for the contribution. I'll think about the one that's in the sutra teachings. Yes. Shh. Let's leave it at that. Yeah. Do you guys want to have a 10-minute break and then we actually, I want to do some practice. I want to actually talk about some practice. Yeah? I want to talk about the 24 hours we go through and what to do in those 24 hours.
Why?
Because I don't want. Because I don't want.
Back at 9.
Why
Yeah?
don't you like Google?